Meat Forum. And congratulations for running a really successful event last week.
Thank you.
I think it went pretty well. We were all not used to meeting in person, but you pulled it off, right?
It was a huge meeting. It was really, really good to have so many people together. Obviously, when it started to be planned, it was planned for January. Then we had the COVID crisis. We didn't know that the crisis in food will be exacerbated by everything that's going on in Ukraine. But that obviously was very, very high on the agenda.
Of course, suddenly food is on top of everyone's mind.
Exactly.
And not in a good way, unfortunately, no. So, but let's see how we can fix that, because going forward from here, there are a bunch of initiatives out there, but one is coming from you, the World Economic Forum, the Global Network of Innovation. So the FIH initiative, with all the abbreviations. Could you please tell us a bit more about this? What is it?
Yeah, very happy to, Johan, and hello to everyone that's watching online and in the audience. So just introducing where we sit. So within the World Economic Forum, there's working on food, the Food Systems Initiative, which joins a huge group of stakeholders coming from the private and public sector, all working towards a more inclusive, sustainable, efficient, and nutritious food system. Within that, there are a number of initiatives, and one is what I'm leading together with the team, and Nopur, who was planned to be here, which is the Food Innovation Hubs. And obviously, I suppose what you've been all discussing today and yesterday, innovation has so much to offer. We need it so badly to change our food systems, and that's what we're trying to do. I'm coming from the Netherlands. I've been working in food innovation in the Netherlands and abroad, and we have a vibrant innovation ecosystem in the Netherlands. I'd love to hear more about Sweden, but I'm sure you do have too. But there are many places in the world where innovation can play a much bigger role. Investments in innovation in agri-food are really running behind in what's needed. So this initiative is with a large group of global partners, but we're trying to help countries which want to stimulate locally their innovation system to grow. And we're doing that in a number of countries. At this moment, a lot of our attention is on Colombia, on India, on Vietnam, on Kenya, and we're partnering with the major innovation systems also here in Europe.
Okay, yeah. So these food initiative hubs or food innovation hubs that you've initiated, what do they do in practice?
Yeah, that's thanks for that question, because it is quite a challenge. We all talk about food systems transformation, but how do you do that in practice? It depends. I think one of the huge strengths of the World Economic Forum is indeed to bring a lot of partners to the table. So building multi-stakeholder programs, projects, linking them, scaling initiatives that are already there. That's what we do. What I'd love to do a lot more, and I think what's also what this big meeting is about, bringing more investments to the table, and that's certainly on our agenda for the coming years.
But these okay. So you placed now, so I remember it correctly, was in Colombia, it was in Vietnam. Where else was it? These hubs.
We'll be starting soon. We're in India. We'll be starting in Kenya soon, and in Europe. And maybe I can make it a little bit more concrete to, just talk about one initiative in Colombia to give it a little bit more hands-on what we're doing there. PepsiCo is one of our global partners. They have very, very nice initiatives in the countryside of Colombia, where they have demonstration farms run by women, which are being trained to run these centers and to produce better products with better agricultural practices, generating income and stability for these families, generating better products for PepsiCo, and implementing better sustainable practices.
Okay.
This is what we're now trying to scale with other off-takers. So, for example, the beer brewer needs better barley. The dairy company needs better dairy, and we're going to scale these demonstration centers to all these products, and yeah, building stronger supply chains and a better future for a lot of farmers.
Okay, so that also means that these are not just hubs for gathering innovations happening locally then in those places, but it's also then a connection spot between these food innovation hubs, I reckon.
Absolutely, yes. So learnings which the global partners are a natural linkage between these centers all over the world. But I also hope in the future that innovations will actually travel. Uh, Last week in Davos, everybody was talking about regenerative agriculture in a way as if everything has already been developed. Well, that's not the case. There is still so much to be developed. Also, the financial systems. Who's going to pay for that? So best practices and innovations are dearly needed and need to travel fast around the world to a significant scale.
Yeah, exactly as you say, regenerative farming is bound to be one of those key areas where you could really, I think, make a difference. And to me, that's probably one of the greatest underdeveloped areas when it comes to financing new business models. And it's of course not perhaps the lowest hanging fruit out there, but then it's good that someone takes the initiative. And but what do you think? I mean, some of these countries, you say Colombia, India, Vietnam. Um, if people come from say Sweden or Switzerland with some fancy stainless steel high technology, that would never be possible to implement in India, right? Do you also have the opportunity, or so to say, the knowledge base there to take and reinvent some of the things we have discovered here and adapt it for the local market? Or will it actually be the other way around? They will come up with things that we then will implement in stainless steel and with microchips inside.
Well, I suppose that's a very, very good question, Johan. And I think this should be open both ways. Innovation, helping innovation flow, helping innovations grow. And I think that's one of the challenges you've probably been discussing yesterday and today, from a startup to a really significant scale, be it wherever, coming from wherever, is something that we really try to stimulate.
Yeah.
So no, this doesn't have to be north-south. South-south connections also really work very, very well. And I suppose at the initial thoughts of the food innovation hubs, it was very much driven by a wonderful report written by McKinsey on 12 transformational technologies. I think my colleagues and myself at the forum have realized that it's really about local innovation systems, and whatever technologies, where they come from, and hopefully locally, but maybe from international parties. Data and digital innovations will be everywhere, but you see very much that it sometimes feels that we're in the old world here in Europe, and that digital innovations will go a lot faster in Asia, in Vietnam, and in India.
Now,
so this will be interesting to see.
One of the things I'm this is more like a personal question, because this is something I ponder and I haven't been able to get it out of my mind for many years now, is the question of, is it the current food system that needs to develop, or do we need to develop an entirely new food system? Because when you look at it and you take a look at the power of nature in some of these problematic areas right now, which are in the equator, that's in the tropics, right? So it's like a country like Sri Lanka has enormous problems in spite of it being such an abundant country with so many possibilities when it comes to, for instance, farming. Wouldn't it be better if we rebuilt the food systems so that these countries can actually become the net exporter of food to us in the gilded world of Europe, as the opposite, which is currently the case, thanks to our global food systems?
Yeah, very good question, Johan. For example, Vietnam, 15 years ago, the Vietnamese government made a very conscious decision that they wanted to have food security for their people. They wanted poverty to be reduced, and they wanted to become a net exporter. And that's exactly what they've done. They are now the second world exporter of coffee. They export a lot of pepper, they export a lot of rice, but they have realized that they're doing that in a very unsustainable way. So they have reached their goals, and now the Vietnamese government has said this has to change. We need green and we need digital growth. So this is it hasn't been a revolution. It's been evolutionary with big strides forward, but also big problems. I had exactly this discussion about in the Netherlands. I mean, should we be doing things radically different with one of my friends? And he said, we have to break everything that we did. It has to be done. These regenerative practices have to be completely different. I don't think we have the luxury to make that choice. My personal conviction is that all steps forward really help. We cannot control what happens in these countries. So it's, for me, it's really about stimulating where local energy is and moving that in the way of a more inclusive, sustainable, efficient and nutritious food system.
Yeah, as you say, it's about moving the needle. And right now, I feel like, yeah, move the needle. Whatever you do, just move the needle. It's basically that situation right now. And I think it's sometimes, I mean, places such as a conference such as ours or Davos, they're criticized for just being places where people talk, a lot of hot air. But what can we actually do with places such as Davos or the Big Meat in order to foster this transformation or speed it up? What should we do?
Well, investments is a big part of it. Investments is, and I'd love to hear what barriers the people at the conference are experiencing. But what we hear a lot is that there are a lot of innovations out there, but it's very, very difficult to get them adopted and scaled. And especially in agriculture, who is willing to take the risks? Because we cannot put that all on farmers. Who is really willing to take the risk to finance these transitions? And that's where the Food Innovation Hubs is really trying to play a role, where we believe that multi-stakeholder partnerships are the only way forward. You cannot put this on one party in the chain. And that's where these places where we talk a lot make a lot of sense. Without putting this into practice, it's blah, blah, blah. It's talk. It doesn't help forward. But I do think that these places are very, very powerful if we are able to translate that into local action. And that's what we're trying to do with Food Innovation Hubs.
Okay, so basically, if we can crack a few of these business models, investing in land, regenerative agriculture, super profitable, or at least decently profitable, then suddenly we can, through the Food Innovation Hubs, we can replicate those models out there in the world, right? So more it's up for us then to try and crack that in a sense. And sometimes we have actually had those discussions, especially yesterday we had a panel on with some really outstanding investors and experts on both ESG investments, but also people running funds with new models. Where some of the wisdom that came out of that was that unless we put other things than financial returns first, I mean, like that could be things such as regenerative or biodiversity or personal health. So unless we solve those things, what should we do with returns? There will be no returns, right? And what I heard was that some investors thought, unless we put those other factors first and returns in the second room, people don't want to hang with us. The coolest talents, they don't want to be with us. They want to, the smartest entrepreneurs out there, they want to run with the really smart investors. So it actually became some sort of a market competition, doing good, and not just in the greenwashing way, but the true.
Cool.
I thought that was something a few years ago I wouldn't have heard that, but now suddenly I heard that. And then of course, if you can crack that we have 40 trillion US or something of ESG investments, at least investments that claim to be ESG investments, and we all know that that's an awful lot of greenwashing in that sector. But to me, this cannot be solved without solving finance. You need to solve finance and food at the same time, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I don't know if you've heard the speeches of Betty Martin from Rabobank, who actually leads the Food System Initiative of the World Economic Forum, and he's calling for the true value of food. So we need to move, and this will be prepared for the talks that will be going on in the COP27 and 28, where food will be very, very central to the agenda.
Oh yes.
So how do we pay? How do we pay for ecosystem services of farmers? Do we pay for practices, or do we pay for outcomes? How do we measure the improvement of soil health? It's not all about just paying for kilograms of potatoes which are coming off the ground. It's a lot more than that. And that's where you were seeing a lot of developments where innovation is really, really going to help. I strongly believe that data and digital innovations will play a key role here. I also believe it will be messy. It will be messy for a number of years until we have really good carbon markets developed in agriculture and food, and other kinds of systems where we include the externalities in finance practices and how that translates into good investments. Yeah, that's still to be sorted out, and I hope to play a very modest but hopefully significant role with our initiative in that as well.
We have to be hopeful. Now, when will we get the Food Innovation Hub in the Nordics?
Well, I'm very, very happy to connect. So what I said, Food Valley in the Netherlands, together with EIT Foods, are working together on the Food Innovation Hub Europe. Very, very important that the Nordics are there. So let's connect. And maybe for the innovators out there, there's a very, very, maybe you're working on personalized nutrition. They've just initiated a very nice challenge for startups on personalized nutrition. So maybe have a look at their site. So both on an organization level from ecosystems, but also for the personal innovators out there, love to be in touch.
Okay, lovely. Those are great words to end a conversation, or to start a conversation with, rather. Thank you so much for joining and tell us more about the Food Innovation Hubs from the World Economic Forum. Thank you very much, and I wish you a lovely day. And a big round of applause, of course, of course. So now I'm actually about to leave the stage again after just having come back